Hello everyone, welcome to Analog Photomart. Today we're talking about this camera. This is the Olympus Trip 35. This is basically as close to a point-and-shoot camera as you could have gotten in the 1960s. It does auto exposure, and it doesn't even need batteries because the light meter, which is up here, powers itself by solar power, which is fantastic. So it's an all-mechanical camera, doesn't need batteries, and it's pretty fun to use. So how to use this camera? I guess first I'll show you how to load it. The first thing you will want to do is set the ISO or ASA rating. There's a little dial, and as you turn the front ring, you can set it to the film speed of the film you're using. This is ISO 400 film, so I have set this to 400. You're gonna want to make sure you do that first when you load the camera to make sure that the meter is accurate to the film that you're using, and the max this camera will do is ISO 400. Now, to open the camera, first you want to make sure that there isn't already film in here, and the way you can do that is this film rewind knob. If it spins freely as this, then you know that there's nothing in this camera. And so there is this little latch right here, and you'll pull that to open it once you've verified that the camera is empty, which this one is, and this is a dummy roll of film. And so usually what I like to do is actually wind the film advanced wheel all the way before you load it, and you're going to want to stick the leader of the film into this little hole right in here. And so there's a little slot there, and you're going to want to stick the leader into there and pull the film down, pull it over. Oh yes, on this camera you do want to pop this guy out, which gives you some space, and you can drop this in and pop the little cog thing back in, and then you'll want to fire the shutter one time, which will not work if so you want to set this to one of the manual exposure settings. Otherwise the camera will not fire unless there's enough light. Alright, so you fire the shutter one time, and then you're gonna wind the film around one time to make sure that it's loading properly, which it is, and then you'll close the back and make sure it clicks, and then you can also again double check that it's loaded, and then you can fire the shutter one more time, and then you'll want to keep doing that until this little window with the frame counter shows you 1. And you can verify that it's working because this thing spins when you're doing the winding of the film. Boy, I did not practice what I say. Now, for most shooting, you're gonna want to set this now to, okay, so the frame counter now is on 1, and for most shooting, you want to keep this aperture ring set to A, and that'll be auto, and it'll automatically expose to the level you want. And then from here, it's pretty much automatic. The only thing you need to do is set your focus, which is done through what they call a zone focusing scale. So you want to set it here if it's for a close-up of one person. Here if it's like a two shot, like a waist-up kind of a 2-shot. Set it here for if it's like a group photo of head to toe, and then here for infinity. For most cases, this setting will work unless you're getting really close up, or you're shooting like a big landscape. But for most situations, this setting right here is the one you want, or it'll work, for like 90% of snapshots and things like that. Now, if you are more advanced, you'll notice if you flip the camera upside down, you can actually see a real focus scale that is in meters and in feet. So you can also see what these settings correspond to. It's 1 meter, 1.5 meters, 3 meters, and infinity. And also for advanced users. If you're using it with flash, you can manually set the aperture, but what this will do is lock the shutter speed to 1/40th of a second. So if you know what I'm saying, if you know what all that means, great. If not, don't worry about it, just leave it on A all the time. And the great thing about this camera is, if it's too dark, this little red flag will pop up into your view and it won't let you take the picture. So this camera won't let you take an underexposed bad picture. Also, when you look through the viewfinder of this camera, there is a little tiny window at the bottom of this view, and you can actually see your focus setting through the little window. That's kind of cool. So after you've shot your whole roll, now you're going to want to, eventually it's going to get to a point where it won't let you keep winding the film anymore. Don't force it. This is on any of these mechanical cameras. Don't force it if it gets to that point. And you'll want to unload the camera. Now to unload the camera, the way you're going to do it is, there's this little black button right here. Push this guy down and that'll unlock the take-up spool on this side. Then you're going to flip open the little film rewind lever, and you're going to spin this clockwise. And you're going to keep doing this until you can feel a release in the tension. Now if you're going to develop yourself, then you want to not rewind it too far. No, yes, and you'll need to pop that guy out. Now this will work. And if you're developing yourself, you probably want to leave a little leader on this, but if you don't, it's fine to just keep, when in doubt, just keep winding it. It's safer to wind all the film back in than to accidentally open it with some of your pictures still out here. If you open the back of your camera and you see this, that's a bad sign. You just lost at least this many pictures. Because film, as you probably are aware, is sensitive to light. So you want to keep it in the dark. So that's why you want to make sure that it's wound up all the way back in. So again, how can you tell if the camera's loaded or not? Just try to, if this rewind knob doesn't move, or is very hard to move, you don't want to force anything. But if this doesn't move, then there's film in the camera, and you don't want to open the back and see this. And again, so we'll rewind it back. Okay, it's rewound. You open it. Film's been retracted all the way into the canister this time. And again, if there's no film in the camera and it's not loaded, this thing will just spin freely. So if it does that, you can be sure that the camera's empty. That's it. This is the Olympus Trip 35. It's a great fun little camera. Fun to use, easy to use. Only thing you have to do manually is set this focus dial. But again, it's not very precise. So you just, as long as you remember to do this and remember to set the ASA knob to the right spot, that's all you'll need to do.